वो कर दी।
हाँ जी रोहित जी, कैसे हो?
बढ़िया सर, बताइए।
बस सब ठीक है नितिन। ये हमारा नया मीटिंग
ठीक है सर, आपको होस्ट बना रहा हूँ मैं। ठीक है,
ठीक है बॉस, ठीक है, बना दीजिए। आवाज तो आ रही है ना मेरी?
ठीक है, मैं लीव कर रहा हूँ।
ठीक है, मेरी आवाज आ रही, क्लियर है ना?
आ रही है, आ रही है।
ठीक है बॉस, ठीक है, थैंक यू।
ओके।
मीटिंग में बैठे मुझे प्रेजेंट कर टेक्स्ट बुला रहा हूँ, ठीक कराना तो बोलो यहाँ से ले जाए।
एक्चुअली कहीं कैप्शन डाल दे, आईएएफ ऑफिस है ना, डाल देते हैं।
हेलो नमस्कार। अरे मैं यहाँ है मतलब चिरंजीवी टाउन प्लेस में हमारे यहाँ। तो यार मेरे पास एक डेस्कटॉप है, यहाँ से पिक कर लो कभी। तो बस मैं यहाँ पे बैठा हूँ, मैं आपके मैसेज लेना वो उसको चेक कर ले। हाँ कोई बात नहीं, उसके बाद मेरे को टाइम लगेगा ना। 9 आइए रूम कौन सा नंबर?
908
908।
मजा आ गया है। दिक्कत हो रही है।
कैमरा ऑन नहीं है।
ऑन है। हम वीडियो स्टार्ट करिए ना।
नहीं हो रहा था।
जैसे कुछ रुकावट मिला है क्या? बोले उसका नाम म्यूट छोड़िए। रावत जी, रावत जी, हेलो रावत जी, मिस गौतम,
हाय आई मेरे साथ
वीडियो कनेक्ट नहीं हो रहा है।
हाँ जी
वीडियो कनेक्ट नहीं हो रहा है।
वीडियो कनेक्ट नहीं हो रहा है रावत
हाँ,
वो सर उसमें करिए कि उसमें ज्वाइन विद योर वीडियो एक बार फिर से ज्वाइन कीजिए
हाँ।
नहीं पहुंची।
रावत
जी सर, ऑफ करके ज्वाइन करता हूँ।
रावत वो कुमार साहब को बताओ वो वीडियो
अच्छा
ऑन नहीं कर पा रहे हैं
वो तो वीडियो का सर है कि वो तो है वहाँ छोटा सा, उसको क्लिक करना है सर, सिंपल सा, सबका कॉपी है सर।
ले नहीं रहा है।
तो वीडियो कैमरा सा दिख रहा होगा उधर, वो जहाँ म्यूट है उसके नेक्स्ट स्टॉप वीडियो, स्टार्ट वीडियो,
नहीं ले रहा है।
स्टार्ट वीडियो लिखा होगा सर।
यस माय वीडियो रेजोल्यूशन। वैसे मैं ऑफ करके फिर से ट्राई करता हूँ।
नॉन रेगुलेटेड सेक्टर लिंकेज बोल वाला है नहीं। हाँ जी हाँ। अच्छा ये गैस रेगुलेटेड है, कोल नॉन रेगुलेटेड है। ये बात
हो रहा है साहब कुमार साहब
कैन यू सी मी?
आई कांट
आई कैन सी यू।
यू कैन सी मी बट आई कांट सी यू
Yes,
आपका नाम है यू आर देयर
connecting.
तो आप
अगर आप
Video is not connecting.
सर, आपका कुमार साहब, आपके कैमरे के आगे ढक्कन बन लगा कैप वगैरह कुछ? कैमरे के आगे कोई कैप वैप तो नहीं लगा हुआ?
कनेक्टेड। एक सेकंड।
तो
सब वो रेखा नहीं है
हाँ सर, मैं प्रिंट कर रही हूँ।
रेखा कर दो भाई यू नो इट
She is doing it.
हाँ जी वो कर देंगे
गुड आफ्टरनून सर।
हाँ जी, गुड आफ्टरनून बीपी सिंह साहब। सिंह साहब गुड आफ्टरनून।
गुड आफ्टरनून सर, गुड आफ्टरनून।
कैसे हैं जी? हाउ आर यू?
फाइन सर।
गुड टू सी यू। नकुल जी हाउ आर यू?
Fine, fine, very good
वेरी
afternoon.
गुड टू सी यू। गुड आफ्टरनून।
इसमें प्रॉब्लम है मोबाइल।
वीडियो बंद कर। I think Matanza will have to manage the audio only.
हाँ जी,
We have to manage with audio because we are not able to connect.
ये कैसे हो गया सर? वो तो आप यू आर कमिंग और खाली वीडियो का वो टीवी का साइन नहीं आ रहा है।
नहीं जी, आ तो रहा है सब कुछ। When you
तो
click
उसके
it,
ऊपर टैप करने से क्या होता है?
मैं बोल रहा हूँ कुछ नहीं हो रहा था। When you click it, it doesn't nothing happens. I'm trying with another
तो
system also.
फोन से ज्वाइन कर लीजिए सर।
हम दोनों सिस्टम में नहीं आ रहा।
ये लीजिए।
आ गया वीडियो आ गया कुमार साहब आपका आ गया।
दूसरे से रखो।
क्या आ गया?
आ गया।
दूसरे
से लिंक।
गौतम जी नमस्ते।
नमस्कार जी, नमस्कार। हाउ आर यू? गुड टू सी यू।
गुड टू सी यू एज वेल।
गुड आफ्टरनून।
गुड आफ्टरनून उपेंद्र जी।
तो सर आप रहिए ना, तो आपको तो बोलना है, आप बगैर वीडियो किए बोलिए ना।
नहीं बट आई एम विजिबल नाउ।
हाँ जी,
कुमार साहब आ गए विद वीडियो।
आ तो गए सर।
सर कुमार साहब आपको अनम्यूट कर लीजिए अपने आप को।
बीपी सिंह हाउ आर यू?
फाइन सर। कैसे? बस बढ़िया।
तुम्हारी आवाज बहुत कम आ रही है।
मेरी आवाज कम आ रही है?
आ तो गए सर।
तो पूरी है।
अनम्यूट किए कुमार साहब, अनम्यूट योर।
अनम्यूट कीजिए सर। वहाँ अनम्यूट का साइन है सर।
आप भी कर सकते हैं।
वहीं टीवी के बगल में साइन है, आप एक्चुअली साइन नहीं कर रहे हैं।
रिक्वेस्ट है तो भेज लो।
भेज दी ना, इसमें रिक्वेस्ट ही जा सकती है।
रेखा अनम्यूट करो। अरे तो बड़ा सिंपल है, सामने ही तो माइक है, माइक के ऊपर म्यूट लिखा हुआ है, म्यूट अनम्यूट। आप कैसे ज्वाइन किए हो रेखा? नीचे आपका विंडो नहीं आ रहा, म्यूट, स्टॉप वीडियो, शेयर। कुमार साहब, कुमार साहब,
मैं इसका रिक्वेस्ट ही भेज सकता हूँ। अनम्यूट कॉल करके देखो।
पहले वीडियो नहीं आ रहा था, अब म्यूट नहीं आ रहा है।
सही साहब, गुड आफ्टरनून।
सर नमस्कार, अभी सही सर नहीं आए, अभी ज्वाइन करेंगे सर थोड़ी देर में।
अच्छा, अभी नहीं ज्वाइन किया।
राजेश जी गुड आफ्टरनून।
गुड आफ्टरनून सर, गुड आफ्टरनून।
कुमार साहब,
नाम लिखा हुआ है?
नीचे एक विंडो
नाम आ
आती
रहा
है, उसमें म्यूट, स्टॉप वीडियो, शेयर एक्सेट्रा, पार्टिसिपेंट सब आते हैं, तो इतना क्या वो नहीं आ रही है वो विंडो नीचे बॉटम में?
आशीष वेरीफाइड
सब
हो
आ
गया
रहा है यार। भाई
हाँ तो नाउ आप अनम्यूट हो गए।
अभी
हेलो, अनम्यूट हो गए सर। कैन यू हियर मी?
yes I can hear you.
हाँ, सो कैन
Can you
वी
hear
कैन।
me now?
यस यस, ऑफ कोर्स वी कैन। अब कुछ छड़ा छाड़ी मत कीजिएगा सर।
थोड़ा फोकस कर लीजिए, सेंटर में आ जाओ।
वो तो मैंने कर दिया। इसमें ना जब हम मीटिंग में जाते हैं ना तो कैमरा ऑन नहीं होता शो। कर लीजिए आप, बैठ के कर लीजिए।
ठीक है।
सर ने जमानत का फैसला सुरक्षित रख लिया है कोर्ट ने, कुछ नहीं हुआ।
रावत जी, आपके बगल में कौन है?
ये हमारे टेक्निकल सपोर्ट शाहिद साहब के ऑफिस से आते हैं, मिस्टर आशीष।
अच्छा अच्छा, वेरी गुड, गुड टू सी हिम।
थैंक यू।
And on our side I can see Mr. Ramesh. Mr. Ramesh is his organization.
हेलो।
Yeah. Mr. Ramesh.
नकुल जी
हेलो
हैं,
यस,
हमारे
गुड
ही
आफ्टरनून।
मेंबर, हमारे ही मेंबर हैं सर, इंडिया एनर्जी फोरम के।
Okay.
Ramesh is the retired chief engineer of CA.
मिस्टर हिमांशु से बात हुई थी सर, वो कह रहे ज्वाइन करेंगे थोड़ी देर में।
कौन?
मिस्टर हिमांशु सिंह,
हाँ
स्पीकर।
ठीक है। और मेरी उनसे जगत से भी बात हुई थी, वो थोड़े
अच्छा
फीवर है उनको, बट ही वाज काइंड इनफ टू एग्री ही विल जॉइन।
अच्छा, ठीक है सर, ठीक है।
और या गौतम सेनापति जी तो हैं, सो नाइस ऑफ हिम, ही इज देयर। म्यूट है ऑफ कोर्स।
थैंक यू सर।
हाँ,
But I
गुड टू
can't see
सी
Mr.
योर नेम।
Senapati.
हाँ जी,
Yeah,
आप
good to
थोड़ा,
Mr. Senapati is here.
yeah,
he is
sir, good
very
afternoon,
much here, sir. He is very much here. He is from Indian School of Mines. He has done mineral technology from Indian School of Mines in 1991.
Right, sir, right.
I can't see him.
We can,
Yeah,
sir.
but yeah,
Controlling my system.
आप
maybe.
थोड़ा इधर उधर कीजिए सर, ज्यादा लोग आने से।
Yeah, okay. Now, Mr. Senapati. Mr. Senapati, good afternoon.
Sir, good afternoon, sir. Nice to see you, sir.
My pleasure too.
In fact, in a lot of seminars, I have met you. Maybe you cannot recall my face, but I have met you in number of seminars.
Yes, yes. Now I have seen you, Mr.
You have
Senapati.
lost
Now
lot
that
of
I see
weight.
you,
Yeah.
Mr. Senapati, you have lost
Yeah.
lot of weight.
Uh,
Any reason?
Sir?
Your weight loss. You have lost lot of weight.
I maintained rather weight loss is a kind.
Deliberate?
That's such a good health.
Yes.
Yeah. Where is Kapil Dhagal sahab? We are yet to find him.
he will be coming. He was not too well, but he will be joining.
Very good afternoon.
Good
Sai
afternoon,
good
साहब. साई
afternoon.
साहब join कर गए हैं.
But he's not hearing us.
He is mute. Unmute कर लीजिए सर.
भाई साहब
वर्मा
नमस्कार।
साहब भी आ गए.
नमस्कार नमस्कार नमस्ते
नमस्कार जी. नमस्कार सर.
नमस्कार नमस्कार
नमस्कार साई साहब.
नमस्ते
नमस्ते सर। नमस्ते
नमस्ते सर. नमस्कार. नमस्ते सबको नमस्ते.
Mr. Grover had put on fancy dress. Guys, you look very smart.
Dagat Saab has joined. Himanshu
Yes,
Singh
sir.
has also joined.
Yeah, good afternoon, sir.
Yes, sir. Good afternoon.
Jagat Saab has. Even
Or
Himanshu Singh has joined.
Himanshu Singh has also joined. Good afternoon, Himanshu.
Sir, good afternoon. Sir, good afternoon.
Good afternoon. So speakers are there, the listeners are not there. VP Singh, good afternoon.
गुड आफ्टरनून सर.
कैसे हैं?
आप सुनाइए.
Gurur Saab, good afternoon.
Good afternoon sir. Good afternoon.
मैंने आपको कॉम्प्लीमेंट किया ग्रोवर साहब. I complimented in your dress.
Thanks a lot.
सही जवाब देता है तो डिपॉजिट
बैकग्राउंड क्या दिखाई पड़ता है? फोटो
कहाँ हो रहा है? ये ओवरलैप क्यों हो रहा है? वो कह रहा हूँ, देखा नहीं? तो देखो कुछ
Yes. Yeah. Which company? No. Right. Yes. हाँ जी.
स्टार्ट करें साहब?
या करिए.
Kindly call me after 1 hour. I'm busy with the meeting. Yeah.
Oh, good afternoon, everyone. We are here today to discuss the recently circulated document by Ministry of Coal relating to amendment to the non-regulated sector NRS Linkage Auction Policy 2016. This has been actually given on 21st of August, and they wanted 1 week's time for comments. So some people have sent comments, but then anyway, we can still discuss and send comments from the Indian Energy Forum side as early as possible. But it is a very, very important document, particularly for those who are involved in procurement of coal for their own use. And therefore, it is necessary to discuss. So I welcome you all. It is very nice to have 3 important speakers on this panel who are very experienced, and they are very much involved in this process, and they are all in chair and working. So they have the hands-on experience, and they will be sharing their valuable thoughts with us. We have with us Mr. Gautam Senapati. He is Vice President, Coal Business, JSW Steel. Then we have Shri Himanshu Singh, Director Strategy, Vedanta. And we have Shri Kapil Dhagat, Executive Vice President, Business, Coal and Mining, JSPL. Very meritorious panel we have. And I also welcome Shri R.V. Sai, our President of India Energy Forum and former Secretary PAR. And I also welcome our Vice President, Mr. U. Kumar, who is also with us. I also take this opportunity to congratulate and welcome Shri Kumar as Vice President, who has recently taken over as Mr. Mrig was not feeling well and he decided not to participate any further directly. So thank you, sir. We feel honored by your agreeing to take up this position. Thank you so much. So it is just, I would just, you will hear more from the speakers, but I will just say that what is this all about? This new policy will give a linkage to the non-regulatory sector, regulated sector through auction. And some interesting things are there which really are puzzling. That important aspect is that they are allowing everyone to participate, whether they have any end use requirement or not. That means that they are also allowing it for sale, which is not a correct thing to do, but I'll not elaborate it further. We will hear it from the people. And then they have also proposed that there'll be a single window and the fuel supply agreement may be up to 15 years. I really fail to understand that a trader who will take coal, how he can get into any kind of PPA for 15 years when he doesn't know what he will do. So I fail to understand anyway. This is what it is. And then it will be from coal from one particular mine, from any subsidiary, but they are not giving any other option as to will there be an alternative source or not, particularly for coking coal, which will be mostly from BCCL, and BCCL mines are not having long life, and the grade specifications are also not there. So there are a lot of issues there, and particularly they have also circulated a document on the coking coal separately, which has not been made really public, but it has been sent to major steel producers. But I have got some. I have got the document from somewhere, and in that there are issues that first condition is obviously you will have to have a washery. Without having a washery, you will not be allowed to get coal. But knowing our coal, which has got a lot of high ash, the clean coal percentage of the order of 11-12% ash will be very low, and there will be large quantity of middlings available, and these middlings need to be disposed of, but there is no mention as to how they will be disposed of. So there is a necessity for a policy that this middling should be allowed to be sold. And so there are other issues also, like pricing issue, the coking coal pricing. They have said that the pricing can be above the notified price, which is also not correct, because the coking coal price in India, as compared to the value and as compared to the international price, is already quite high, and any further price above it in this linkage would be not very right. And then there are certain supply issues. Previously, the rake was once allotted to you, the validity was there till it gets matured. Now they have put a condition that the validity will remain for 180 days. But I'll not take any more of your time. I'm sure there will be a very much clarity on the issue, and with variable experience comments from the authors. So I'll go straight away with the program, and I will request our Vice President, Mr. U. Kumar, former CMD, NCL and SCCL, to give the formal welcome address. Mr. Kumar, please.
Good afternoon, all of you. Thank you very much, Ms. Gautam, for giving me an opportunity of discharging very pleasant and welcome responsibility of welcoming our guests and welcoming our speakers particularly. I've been a member of this August body in the Energy Forum right since the beginning in 2001. And the way it has grown and it has conducted itself is absolutely remarkable. We have a leader in Mr. Shahi, who is a visionary, who is a doer, is a thinker. And the way things have gone on, the things have moved, we are scoring one success after another. And I'm sure going forward, we'll continue to scale new heights. Coming to the subject under discussion, I think yes, Mr. Gautam has opened the subject. Let's realize, let's appreciate that non-regulated sector has always been at the receiving end about the vagaries of coal supply. First thing, it's a natural and understandable that the country facing a shortage of coal, everyone has suffered, but non-regulated sector has suffered the most, despite the fact that it has as big a responsibility towards national economy as any other, as the regulated sector. I mean, the sectors like steel, cement, sponge iron, I mean, they are discharging very great responsibility to the nation. And depriving the sector of coal has been very sort of unjustified. And it's time that corrective action is taken. And I welcome the action taken by the government in correcting the situation. Let's see, despite the fact that yes, coal shortage appeared to be endemic, over the last 3 years, there has been very welcome development. Things have started moving forward, and we have been able to maintain a plus 10% growth rate in coal production systematically for the last 3 years. And from the appearance of things, moving forward, within the next 2 to 3 years, the shortage of non-coking coal will be a matter of past. This right time that non-regulated sector is also assured of availability of coal in equal measure as per the requirement. Now, this dispensation of opening the coal auction with this sector, according to me, is a welcome step, because non-regulated sector will be able to have its say and have its presence felt in the market. This way, because non-regulated sector has tremendous opportunity or tremendous good opportunity for providing employment. And to that extent, the Indian economy will be greatly helped by success of this dispensation. About the coking coal, I'm afraid probably there is a lot of confusion. We must realize that as it is, about 50% of coking coal production in the country is going towards power generation. It's not coming to steel at all. So this 50%, which amount to maybe 25 to 30 million tons, if that comes through dispensation route, even to non-users, and someone for bettering his economic opportunity puts up a washery and gets out at least 15 to 20% also of good quality coking coal, good quality metallurgical coal, that will be tremendous help to the national economy and tremendous help about availability of metallurgical coal. So, I mean, we don't have to have the apprehension that the non-regulated sector will hoard this coal. Even if they hoard this coal, what do they do? This will be only come to for the betterment of the society, betterment of the business. In any way, the steel sector is not going to be hurt by this dispensation. They are getting only washed coal, and Coal India will continue to give the washed coal. That washed coal will not be under auction. Coal India also continue to give only the actual users, which are the steel plants. Coal India doesn't have the capability of washing 25 to 30 million tons of coking coal, of inferior grade coking coal, which will be useful in this dispensation, because the non-users of coal may be able to set up the washeries and get out the metallurgical coal out of it. I think it's a welcome dispensation. These are small things like the linkage and the stability of the linkage, how long it shall hold. Those are minor things which will be worked out when the actual implementation takes place. This is only a policy document. This is only a policy decision which has been conveyed to the stakeholders for their comments. Based on their comments, many finer things will be worked out, many knots will be untied, and things will be presented in a shape which will take care of various interests. I personally feel that this would help matters, but we have got the good fortune of having three erudite speakers. Like Mr. Gautam said, the industry knows all three of them. They have in their own right done a lot of service to the power and coal industry, and I'm sure they have applied their mind to it. They have thought over it, and I'm sure the various gray areas they'll be attended by them, and probably they will also give us some ideas about in an energy forum making a representation to the government on the desirables, undesirables of the stated policy, so that a computed, well thought document is produced for guiding things for this dispensation success. So thank you very much. I'd request Mr. Sahi to have his opening address, and we'll be looking forward to our erudite speakers for hearing their view in the matter.
Thank you, sir.
So
So I will request Mr. Sai for his presidential address. Mr. Sai has been a very dynamic leader, and this particular webinar also has come in rather very short time. It was only 3 or 4 days ago that we discussed this document, and he was very keen that this is an important document which must be discussed. Though I was a little apprehensive that in this short span of time, but thanks to all the good speakers, when I approached them, they were kind enough to agree. So it is all credit is to Mr. Sai that we are meeting today to discuss this important document. So Mr. Sai, please. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Gautam and Kumar Saab, that we could organize this at a very short notice. And once again, I, on behalf of India Energy Forum, welcome the guests, particularly the speakers who responded to the request that we could organize this conference, this brief discussion. Coal has such a huge impact on our economy, whether it is power sector, steel sector, cement sector, any sector, even that domestic brick making, everything. But of late, there have been a number of changes. During certain period prior to COVID, when power sector project capacities increased, a lot of changes were made. Coal linkage is one of the issues, but national coal distribution policy itself was changed. In national coal distribution policy, we started rationing. If you have a power project which is with PPA and the public sector and private sector are organizing this development, then there is one formula. If you do not have PPA, then there is another formula. Then you have Shakti 1, Shakti 2, e-auction. So in the market, whenever I discuss with people who are dealing with utilization of coal in various sectors, uncertainties and new things coming up. There was a time when we had huge shortage when power sector grew at faster rate. But now, fortunately, as Mr. Kumar has rightly said, that for the last couple of years, we have been seeing a very satisfying growth rate. Of course, we continue to import coal, not only coking coal, but also power grid coal. So we cannot say there is no shortage, and we can't anticipate a situation that there will be no import at all. But that cannot be the basis not to have a reliable and predictable policy, and we cannot afford keeping changing it. So there have been uncertainties. I think people have not been as vocal and as critical, because between power sector, the user sector, and coal sector, they do not want to fight openly. I mean, of course, they don't mince words when they have to say things, but at the same time, this does not go to the extent of being too critical about it. But the situation is that it calls for a very important deliberation and in-depth discussion as to why the situation is the way it is. I appreciate the comments Mr. Kumar made. Of course, any change that we are trying to make responding to the requirement of economy, responding to the requirement of developers, it is a good thing. But then to make it too uncertain. Now take, for example, when the Coal Bill was done, Coal Act was done, I was one of the critics on this. In the power sector, when it comes to competitive bidding for power, there is no difference between private sector and public sector. Both have to compete. Whoever is able to give competitive price is the one who gets the power generation to develop. But after waiting for more than 20 years, when this Coal Bill, when ordinance came followed by the act, they have made a distinction. I personally, I worked for a longer period of my career for public sector and government sector, yet I do not see the justification for making a distinction. When the power has to be given at a reasonable rate, and when at the level of power generation there is competition, equal competition, how is it that when the allocation is made, block allocation is made, you have one criterion and one set of rules for the public sector companies doing power generation projects and for private sector projects? So therefore, I mean, sometimes it looks that are we in a position that we are the dominant player in the sector, and therefore any type of, whether it is government department or it is company level, I don't think we can take that position that since it is in a critical situation, there is a serious gap between demand and supply, and therefore any policy will be okay. I mean, that cannot be the criterion. Today we have seen in the power sector, by creating competition, and people are put to toes, and only those people who are there, who meet the requirement of merit order dispatch. So I think it is not only coal linkage policy or fuel supply agreement. The basic document, which is the National Coal Distribution Policy, which was changed in a peculiar situation of serious shortages between demand and supply. And there was a time when he said 67% of linkage will be given, that is good enough. And we carried on that. Today, we are not in that situation. It calls for a very thorough review, and definitely, personally, as well as through India Energy Forum, I will make it a point to meet the Power Secretary and other senior officials to see that let us bring some good degree of certainty in our policy making process. A problem already is there in coal sector when we have private sector now, public sector, and we do not have a regulator. Today you see the tension that happens in the power sector, and that tension is for the good of the economy. The tension is that it cannot be one-way decision. If a decision has to be taken, various stakeholders are duly consulted. There is a process, there is a system, and it is a process of again going to the appellate and the tribunal and all that. I mean, we have only through the administrative ministry and the government we go on making the policy and do not consider. One thing is good that a draft has been circulated, as Mr. Kumar said and Gautam said, that it is at the draft stage and the comments are being received or being invited. But basic thing is that this is a sector which requires a much deeper attention now in the context of various types of stakeholders which are emerging. Not only regulated as well as, firstly, what is regulated and what is unregulated is a difficult thing to. What do you mean regulated and unregulated? We have to define that. If it is in competition, if you say public sector is okay and private sector is not, then you are nowhere, because today the economy and the government system governance are recognized that India has to grow by public sector, private sector, every sector. It has to grow. People have to contribute to the wealth and economic development of the country. So I think let us give a critical look at what is happening. But larger issues, a little more than this fuel policy, is starting from, there has to be overhaul of the national coal distribution policy. Secondly, on linkage, we cannot have this type of, it's very difficult even for the people who are well-informed people, and we keep looking into every line and every paragraph, still it becomes very difficult to understand. See, imagine e-auction, at one time e-auction became 300% more than the administrative price. And that is how the power cost became 12 rupees, 13 rupees, 14 rupees. In a shortage situation, this type of thing to happen. You have shortage, and then we allow this. And as Gautam rightly said in the beginning, that if we have intermediaries, in gas sector, globally what happened? Intermediaries get allocation and then they blackmail the real consumers. It becomes a very difficult situation. So I think let us have a very dispassionate discussion on the subject. In India Energy Forum, we have not taken position. I have seen power people, renewable, non-renewable, coal people, gas people, we all take a view which is a balanced view. It is not that we belong to power sector or coal sector or nuclear sector, then we only talk of that. We try to integrate all the thoughts and try to put a balanced set of suggestions and advice. So I will come back again. I listen to get educated a little more. I have not gone into the thin differences between various provisions on this particular document, but then listening to all of you, one will be more educated, and then I will be able to come back again during discussion. Thank you very much, and once again, welcome you all.
Thank you very much, sir. So we carry on. So may I request Shri Gautam Senapati to come in. I'll give a brief introduction of his. He graduated in Mineral Engineering from Indian School of Mines, Dhanbad in 1991, and thereafter joined Tata Steel Jamadova. Later on, switched over to SAIL and worked as GM Washery, SAIL Chasnala, wherein experience includes washery operations, maintenance, coal production, coal procurement for SAIL plant from indigenous sources, as well as R&D on the indigenous coking coal. Joined JSW in the year 2022 and presently working as AVP, washeries coal business, JSW Steel Ranchi. So, Mr. Senapati, please come in.
Sir, good afternoon, sir. Good afternoon to all of you, sir. And thanks for getting an opportunity to speak in this forum. Sir, the issue that we are going to discuss is really burning. See, primarily the window that government is proposing, that is coal linkage for own consumption, sale, or for any other purpose. That speaks a lot. You can understand that now the new window which will be created, anybody will get the opportunity to book coal for as per the new policy for a period of 50 years and use whatever it is. See, our already we had communicated to coal producer associations that coking coal must be excluded from this new window. But today I would like to say that not only coking coal, it's coking coal and I mean power coal above G6 grade. These two category of coal must be excluded from this from sale from in this window. See, so if you so I am saying so. If you see the reasons actually, see last year in 2023-24, the coking coal import was roughly around 57 million ton, and this year and PCR is some 16, and overall it was 74. And the current year projection is something around 82, 83 million ton. So you can understand that almost on an average that is 10% growth is happening, particularly for the coal, that is coking coal and PCI coal. But on the other hand, if we see the, actual coal productions in our in indigenous sector, actually, that is primarily in BCCL and CCL. So roughly last year they had produced some 54 million ton coking coal, and use was, I think Mr. Gautam was right, actually, it's 10 to 12 million ton in actual use, and some 40 million ton was diverted by the powerhouse or other sectors, actually. So there will be, see, there is always, whenever we attend meeting in the ministries, they say that we come out with the linkage auctions, but we don't come. See, one of the primary reasons why the steel players do not come for this link, one is the pricing of the coal. See, if you see the use of the Indian coking coal, that is roughly for this year, if you see 60 million, maybe some 15 million ton will actually find the route in its steel making, actually, and maybe 45 million ton will be used in the powerhouses or maybe some other sectors, in primarily non-metallurgical purposes, actually. So what is the, see, and if you see the sale price of this coal to this powerhouse of, on Coal India side, actually, see, that is 20% cheaper than the, if they would have sold this coal to a steel sector. So one of the big reason is that already we have mentioned in several meetings in the ministry that this pricing of the coking coal, particularly waste price, has been kept very high compared to the actual inherent character. So that makes the itself coal unattractive. But when the Coal India diverts its coal to powerhouses or IPPs or however it is, they fetch 20% less realizations, and on the other hand, they are burning it into powerhouses. So that is, so there is already a gap of 20%. So if I believe, if they, particularly the Wasri 4 and below, see, diversion takes place particularly in the Wasri 4 and Wasri 5 and Wasri 6 grade. So there is enough possibility that there is a, of reduction of this base price by 20%, and this that will make itself this coal, attractive for the, steel sector to set up the Wasri. In fact, if you see the production in the Coal India, BCCL and CCL, where the major coal producing company, 80% of the coal is this Wasri 4 and Wasri 5. So somehow I believe that government should think of reducing price, at least for this sector, Wasri 4, which they are presently diverting to the powerhouse and burning it in the, power plants. So that will make this coal attractive. And I personally believe that coking coal should be particularly put in the category of the critical minerals, actually. See, government, as you understand that, know that government has at least 25 minerals in the, in the critical mission, critical mineral missions category. So coking coal should be, not only coking coal, so there is production of coking coal in the country, but unfortunately the actual utilization of coking coal in the steel making, that is very low, particularly for the indigenous. And we are practically, forced to, purchase coal from the foreign suppliers, and the entire purpose of our Atmanirbhar Bharat, and that is getting defeated. So I believe that there is enough opportunity from the government side and to do something. See, there will be another question, and many of the steel makers will say that that there is no enough property, or not suitable for steel making, particularly for the lower grade coking coal in India. But actually, that is not so. In fact, I have worked in the R&D side of the coking coal, and I have done extensive R&D. If we can wash the Indian coking coal to the level of 13%. Say, if we take the BC, let us take the BCCL category. Say, as you know, and as you are, most of you are mining engineers. So, tungsten and above, which coal are generally of good category coal, and it gives good coking property. But the moment we go down below combined seam and other seam coals, so typically earlier date it was named as LVMC, low volatile medium coking coal. And on the other side, in CCL area also, the same thing happens. Of course, that is a little bit in inferior side. So, so always, it's not that there is not enough property. If we can wash down this coal to the level of 13% and 14%, it's my experience that it exhibits very good property, and I mean percentage in the blend that can be definitely improved. But the most important factor which prohibits the steelmakers to go for this coal is its pricing. Had the pricing be a little bit in the lower side, definitely the steelmakers would have been interested to set up the washery and wash this coal. I did request this forum to take up this matter with the government. Second, another point I would like to just, draw your attention. That is, whenever we go for assessment of the foreign coal blocks, we find that even each and every boreholes that they give the extensive coal character, extensive wasability character, ultimate proximity. So whatever quality you look for, they submit you will get, and you can always take conscious technical decisions to take a call about setting up the washery or about the procurement of the coal or to make the cost economics. But unfortunately, what happens in though Indian coking coal sector is quite old, but unfortunately, just steel making. So our data bank generations is very few. See, we don't have, maybe in TWPC, SAIL has got some data, Tata Steel has got some, but beyond that, see, I'm sure most of the people don't really know the idea about what is the inherent character of the coking coal, how much the level of utilizations will take place in case the beneficiaries. Actually, these data should be generated by the government and complete data bank. So this is not an easy task. I mean, whatever the, coal blocks are there, coking coal blocks are there, those should be, again, boreholes should be done. Because, say, frankly speaking, as like recently there are the linkage auctions, and if anybody goes and take the sample from the mine, so we'll be getting sample from a particular seam and production at that time. So that will never be the representative for taking a business call for setting up the washery and for using the steel making. So you need a kind of complete idea about the, coal blocks. And if you see our most of the GRs have data available in the GR, those are not sufficient to take that kind of coal, how much intelligence level will be there for steel making purpose. So I would like to request that we need to impress upon the government that extensive data by engaging external reputed agency should be generated, and it should be made public to all the steel makers so that they can take a call, which coal should be taken. And so there is a feeling that non-Indian coking coal is not good and this should be diverted to power. That's not, that's right. That's not the right directions for making, Atmanirbhar Bharat. And my final submissions to you all, that that is regarding the linkage auction policy. See, there is already government has come out with a coal linkage policy with a consortium for particularly utilizations of byproduct or middling. That's a good policy and welcome policy. But whatever coal they are offering, as you understand, this is all washery 4, washery 5 grade coal and all. If you wash it down to maybe 14-15%, so 70-80%. Now, what the government is doing, enter coal issue, we'll have to look for the customers or consumer of the for consuming the middling. So it's rather actually, see, that is an option. So okay, even recently we are going through. So what will be how the sales structure, and there even today there are some issues. Though they have, that's a policy, it's a good with a good motive by the government. But still, I believe that rather, see, if the government would have given another options, like if it is plowed back to Coal India, because they have got a big FSA customer base, maybe at the notified price or something, as an options, that will give a, good thrust on this linkage options policy particularly. So I think there are a few points that I would like to put up to all this August gathering and learned people. And if we can take up with the government and make it as a policy decisions, I believe that will really help the, coking coal sector as well as particularly the steel sector in a big way. Thank you. Thank you very much, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, sir. Thank you very much for your points. We have noted these points. And now may I request Himanshu Singh, Director Strategy, Vedanta, Let me give a brief introduction of Mr. Himanshu Singh, based in New Delhi. He is currently a director, Director Strategy, Aluminium Business at Vedanta Limited, bringing experience from previous roles at Vedanta Limited, McKinsey and Company, and Adani Enterprises Limited. Himanshu Singh holds a 213th or 214 PGDM for executives in finance from Indian Institute of Management, Kolkata, with a robust skill set that includes mining engineering, coal mining, mineral economics, gold, commodity risk management, and more. Himanshu Singh contributes valuable insights to the industry. So, Mr. Himanshu Singh, thank you.
Good afternoon, sir. Thank you, Gautam sir, for kind words. First of all, happy Teachers' Day to all the teachers of this industry, and good that we are meeting on this auspicious day. Sir, coming to this topic of opening up kind of NRS sector for everyone, we have few points. I mean, before that, I'll start with our perspective, Vedanta perspective. We are one of the largest consumers under NRS category. We buy around 30 million tons of coal annually under NRS and 10 million tons for power generation. So we are about 25-30% of entire NRS bucket for Coal India. So it is something that affects us in a big way. Now coming to this policy of NRS opening or making linkage options under NRS for everyone, we have few reservations here, sir. The myth that coal is in abundance is not right, sir. I mean, though we are saying that coal production has increased, everything is now smooth enough. Just to give a number, as on date, 6,534 rigs of NRS are pending. This is 26 million ton of coal under rail auction, under rail linkages, which are supposed to be given to NRS consumers, has not been given by Coal India, and the pendency is as old as more than 1 year. So, whatever incremental production Coal India is thinking of, I think first it should be diverted to the people who have signed agreement, who have deposited money, and who have first right over this coal. That is one, sir. Now, we had in past multiple discussion with Ministry of Coal and Coal India before finalizing this policy, and because Coal India has some thought that they should lock in few consumers, because they feel once our coal blocks open up, Vedanta, JSPL or other NRS people coal block open up, we will go from them and they will not find new consumers from them. So we had given some suggestions how to balance between their consumers' appetite versus our interest. So I'll put them down and would request that India Energy Forum takes note of them and submits in their proposal. Sir, first, when we calculate the eligibility for NRS sector, we start from eGCV. While we actually receive is a GCV which is much lower. So all the calculations for eligibility for NRS or even for power sector also, I would suggest that it's not time that we start calculating everything on ARB. So that's the right eligibility that is now calculated. Second, we are into NRS and our PLF are more than 85%.
So there I'm in a meeting.
In few cases our PLF are 100%. So if you take these two account, eGCV to ARB plus PLF at 90-95%, 30% of demand can be generated for existing consumers only. So Coal India does not need to go to new people. We are there to buy more coal from them under linkages only. Third thing, sir, the proposed draft is saying 15 years term, whereas our linkage options are for 5 years. So just imagine a situation when people who have planned, who have invested heavily, not only in CPP, but also in steel making, aluminum smelters. There you calculate eligibility, you give everything very regulated, you cut their rakes when the shortage is there, and you give linkage for 5 years. Whereas now you're opening a separate tranche where you invite everyone without eligibility, anybody can come and have a 15 years agreement. So something is beyond comprehension, sir, and we have written to ministry and we will submit that to IEF also for their consideration and for the submission. So here our proposal was, why not to give our linkages for 15 years and ask us to invest into environment friendly mode of transportation. Why we are not able to do set up any conveyor or any MGR in our network? Because of two reasons. A, the linkages are for 5 years and the linkages are distributed across 30-40 sources of Coal India. So we requested Coal India and Ministry of Coal that all the linkages should be consolidated to a place and should be given for a 15 years time, with a commitment from our side that we'll invest on the first mile connectivity. So these are 3-4 suggestions, sir. I think with these tenure, PLF, and transportation network, I think 30-40 million ton of coal can be easily given to existing NRS consumers rather than opening a new chapter into NCDP. Just to give a context, sir, when there was coal crisis, there was only 15 million ton of reduction in the supplies to NRS. Just before the coal crisis, 124 million ton was given to NRS. In the coal crisis, 108 million ton was given to NRS. So 16 million ton shortage created a huge, impact on the overall financial viability of all the players. So again, we are trying to give 25-30 million ton of coal, despite having more than 6,000 rigs in the backlog. So we have strongly, I'm not opposed, but we have proposed something different to Coal India and to Ministry of Coal for their consideration. And we will submit from our side to IEF and we request that the same is submitted to Ministry. Thank you so much, sir.
Thank you.
So, thank you, Mr. Singh. Now I finally request Mr. Kapil Dhagat, who is Executive Vice President, Head Business Coal and Mining, GSPL. Mr. Dhagat is a very experienced person. He's a mining graduate with more than 35 years experience in the mining industry, out of which 25 years were spent in CIL, managing various mines and planning large capacity mines. He has acquired excellent international exposure by undertaking technical due diligence in many coal mining countries, especially in Australia, coal exploration and mine development for opening and development of GSPL's underground coking coal mines. He is currently working in Jindal Steel and Power Limited as the Executive Vice President. He is also the Vice Chairman of FIMI Standing Committee on Coal, Co-Chairman in the SOCHM in its Coal and Carbon Credit Wing, member of the Inter-Ministerial Committee of Ministry of Coal for Mission Coking Coal, member of Raw Material Division under Indian Steel Association, and executive member of Coal Consumers Association of India. So, Mr. Dhagat, please.
So, thank you very much for the nice introduction. Of course, I am seeing many senior persons, and today is the Teachers' Day, like Mr. Himanshu told. So, my best wishes on this occasion to all the seniors players, and I think Mr. U. Kumar, Mr. Gautam, Mr. BP Singh. So, I have already worked with them, and I have learned a lot from these stalwarts. So just to start with, I'll just give you one background that we have got sufficient coal reserves in India. Only thing is that we have to effectively exploit it and then distribute it. So keeping this in mind, the coal distribution policies were made on different time horizons. In 2007 also this was revised. In 2016, there was a thought that we should again revise the allocation policy through linkage. So for power sector and for non-power sector, they had started the linkage policy. And this linkage policy is through auction. Before this, there was a different scenario where the fuel supply agreements were given based on the LOA-based FSAs. So there was an allocation, and in the power sector, there was a screening committee at the top level, at ministry level, And then based on the recommendations, the fuel supply agreements were given. Similarly, for the non-regulated sector also, similar process was there. After 2016, when Coal India and Ministry of Coal, they decided that we should go ahead with the auction policy, then new schemes were launched. But still, what we have seen in the last so many years, there is a still shortage of coal. The premiums are very, very high. And the NRS sector, which is basically DRI, sponge iron sector, cement sector, CPP, and basically the aluminium sector, which is dependent on CPP. And also recently they have added the coal gasification subsector. So these are under the non-coking coal capacity and the coking coal steel sector. So these are the non-regulated sectors. So they have framed up policies and allocation have started. But what we have seen that because of the shortage of coal in the past so many years, the premiums were very, very high. And it was very difficult for the industries to basically manage their operations, and they simply inclined towards the import of coal. That's why we have not seen there any decline in the import of coal because of the quality parameters and many other things. Recently, we have started increasing our coal production by Coal India as well as by the commercial mines, and we have touched 1 billion ton of coal, but still there is a shortage. We can take a good note of it that after the COVID, suddenly there was increase in the coal demand, and still there is a gap. So when the country progresses, or there is a growth of 7.5 to 8%, and soon we'll be seeing in the coming years double-digit growth. So there will be a huge demand of thermal coal as well as the coking coal. So if we come to the steel sector, before that, I just touch upon the need for coal in the country. You must have seen in the recent budget that the government has allocated 11.1 lakh crore for the infrastructure growth. So that covers both steel and many other sectors. And this is a huge allocation, 11% higher than the previous allocation. And this will basically give a spurt in the demand of coal as well as growth potential. And to meet this kind of coal demand, it is very important that the country's coal production increases. Otherwise, the main aim to reduce the coal imports will be defeated. Now, how to do that? If we come to the steel sector, you must be aware that Ministry of Steel has already prepared a crude steel, basically the policy, a national steel policy, which says about 300 million ton of crude steel will be produced by 2030. Of course, we'll not be able to achieve this. Even if we are able to achieve 220 to 230 million ton of crude steel by 2030, there will be a huge requirement of coking coal in the country. The blast furnace based will be something around 56 to 60%, and we are anticipating about 160 million ton of crude steel through blast furnace, which will require about 135 to 140 million ton of coking coal in the country. Now, people have also expressed that we are sending the BCCL and the CCL coking coal to the power sector. Why? Because whatever they are producing is not being washed. 54 to 55 million ton of raw coal is being produced, and only 10 to 12% is being washed effectively. The rest of the coal is going to the power sector because we do not have sufficient capacity of the washery in the country. So I think we should raise this issue through this forum that currently the capacity of coking coal washery, which is 10 million tons, should be increased to 65 million ton in stages. And if we are able to do that, then we will be able to wash this coal, as Mr. Senapati has told, up to 13% ash, which is very, very challenging, but still we can achieve it, so that some part of that coal can be blended and we can reduce the imports. And to achieve this, mission coking coal has been formulated and many recommendations have been made in that. Now, the second issue is the coal quality parameters. So I'll first discuss about the coking coal policy so that we can complete the points which have not been raised by Mr. Gautam Senapati. So he had rightly said that the coal quality parameters. So in Australia and many other countries where the coking coal of better quality, better grade is produced, So they have got clear-cut parameters of coking coal, which we do not have. So whenever they categorize any coal, whether this is a prime hard coking coal or the semi-hard coking coal or semi-soft coking coal or a variety of other coals which are used in the steel industry like PCI, they clearly mention the ash percentage. So ash percentage is almost in the range of 9.5 to 10%, not more than that. And they have specified it clearly in all the transactions. Similarly, the crucible swelling number, the CSN, the CSR, vitrinite reflectance, the volatile matter, the phosphorus, and the sulfur. So these parameters are missing in the Indian coking coal, where we show only the ash percentage and sometimes the caking index. So we have taken up this matter with the Ministry of Coal and Coal India and CMPDI also, that we should analyze. We have got state-of-art laboratories in CMPDI and SIMFR also. We can do petrographic studies and we can analyze and we can find out these parameters. Then we should go ahead with the linkages. Otherwise, a steel player, you are giving a linkage of 15 years, and that is also subject to installation of the washery. So how he can install the washery when the raw coal parameters are not available? So the forum can also raise this issue that we must know the coal quality parameters of raw coal and how much will be the washability characteristics and how much we can get. Because washing at 18% coal, bringing down from 35% to 40% ash to 18% does not make any sense, because in the blast furnace, the coke rate increases and the efficiency of the blast furnace goes down. So the efficiency is always good around 12 to 13% of ash after washing. So this should be achieved. Then number 2 point, which he has already mentioned, the middling sale policy. When we wash it at 13% ash, so the yield, what we have observed is around only 14 to 15% and maximum 20%, depending on the raw coal feed. So what will happen to the rest of the 80%? 80% is about 10 to 15% is a reject, and the remaining is about 65 to 70% middling. So if you are installing a coal washery in BCCL or CCL area, and your steel plant is in Odisha or Raigad or Chhattisgarh, the distance is 550 kilometers. It is not economically viable to bring that middling to these plants, 600 kilometers. It is better to procure MCL coal, the locally MCL coal, Mahanadi coal, or SECL coal to generate power, because that makes sense. Bringing these middlings at a price which is almost equal to with a premium of 1,000 rupees or maybe 1,500 rupees or maybe equal to Indonesian coal does not make any sense. So we must raise the issue that there has to be a middling policy, middling sale policy. Then only these plants can be made viable. Similarly, they have already promulgated a policy for reject disposal that is existing. So similarly, middling sale policy can also be made. Second point, which Mr. Senapati has discussed regarding the coal pricing issue. This is very, very important, because the last revision was done in 2016 when the Australian coking coal prices were $300. Now the coal prices of international global coking coal has plummeted down. It has come down to $200 or maybe less. So the Indian coking coal price should also be coupled with the international scenario. You cannot make it constant for the entire period of 10 years or 20 years. So it should be linked with the either it should be linked with the index or based on the coal quality parameters. You cannot equate the coal price with 9.5 to 10% ash and the Indian coal which is having 35 to 40% ash. So this is a very important issue. We must take up this issue with Ministry of Coal, that coking coal prices, the base price or the reserve price should be brought down considering the coal quality parameters. Then there has to be a lock-in period. If somebody is not interested to continue with the fuel supply agreements, why to bind him for 15 years? So there has to be an exit clause of 2 years or 3 years or 4 years, but the customers should be given an opportunity to exit from the fuel supply agreements. Say if somebody acquires any mine in Australia or Indonesia or anywhere, and he is not interested to continue with the fuel supply agreement, why you are binding him? So this is one. Then the rake supply issue, which has already been raised by Himanshu, 6,500 rakes. So it's a huge backlog of rake. So even if you are giving coking coal linkages, how this coking coal linkages will be supplied. These coal quantities can be supplied to your plant when the rakes are not available. Even in Ebali area, if we talk about the non-coking coal, 2,200 rakes are pending. And also if we talk about the pricing, there is an increase of 20% for non-regulated sector. I must say that the non-regulated sector, which is comprising of steel, cement, aluminium, and all these sectors, this is basically giving the growth in the country. And the power is being utilized in these sectors. So then why you are making a disparity between the pricing as well as the supply of rakes? It should be similar. Because whatever power is there, that is being consumed by these sectors only. Of course, 12% to 13% is the residential sector or real estate sector, but the major power is going to all these major sectors under the non-regulated sector, DRI, cement, CVP, aluminium, and for blast furnaces or the steel based on the coking coal. So when there is a huge allocation for the infrastructure, we must give equal priority to the non-regulated sector. Then the coking coal is being supplied with a WPI inflation. So whenever the allocation will be made, the price of the coal will be increased on wholesale price index. This should not happen because this will basically escalate the price and the cost of production will increase. So any inflation based on the WPI or any index, it should not happen. The price at which the customer has bought the coal through linkage auction process should be kept constant. So these are the comments made by me, and I can also give in writing some of the important points which can be discussed. And if right actions are taken, then we will be able to reduce the coal import, which is basically happening in the steel sector, DRI sector, and cement sector also, majorly because of the specific consumption factor. Because with the coal quality which we are supplying or the Coal India is supplying, there is an issue of very high specific consumption, and there is a need to wash this thermal coal also. So if we are able to do that, then definitely. And we should keep the high quality of coal reserved for the steel sector, as Mr. Sanapati has told. And also the coking coal, that should not be given to the other customers. Or the last point which I want to make, such auctions should not be made open for the traders. It should be given only for the allocated industries or the earmarked industries or the end users. Thank you, sir. So these are my comments.
Thank you very much, Mr. Zagat. Very nice, elaborate thing. And thank you. I was just thinking myself to request the speakers to give us a brief note so that we can put them together and make a letter and recommendations to the Ministry of Coal. So I will request Mr. Himanshu Singh as well as Mr. Gautam Sanapati also to share brief points as to whatever they have said so that we can compile them together. Thank you very much. Now the session is open for question. Please state who you are and to whom the question is being addressed. So kindly come in if anybody has any questions.
May I come in, Gautam Verma?
Please.
Sir, I have 3-4 points to make. Number one, any time the Ministry of Coal or Coal India never addresses the question of quality of coal, and they go on making the policies and the quality of coal is never addressed, number one. Number two, it appears very funny to me when you compare the Indian coal prices with the imported coal prices. After all, pricing has to be determined from the fundamentals, the mining cost and the other parameters, as is done in other sectors. Now, it will be very funny if we say that the electricity price in this country we will compare with the foreign electricity price and then sell it. It is not so. Then I have observed that the borehole quality of coal, borehole studies which the coal people have made, it never tallies with the mined coal which is there. The basic reason is that the mining principles are not absolutely followed by the coal producing companies, and that is why our coal is actually not that bad as it is mined. Similarly, that lot of discussions have been there for the non-coking coal. it has always been the viewpoint from the steel industry that our Indian coal actually doesn't suit to them as a coking coal because the ash contents are very high. And as Mr. Kapil has said that the other parameters, quality parameters of coal has to be paid attention to, which is never done. It is to the convenience of the coal supplying people, and they say anything, and then because they are monopoly thing, they do it. And we always say that the coal production is high, and then nowadays we are comfortable, but the coal import is continues with us. The coal supply to the power stations are always in short supply, and the railway and coal never coordinates with them. And railway also doesn't listen because they are also monopoly items, monopoly organization. And whenever we discuss with railways, we always find that they are investing so much crore in the wagons, etc. But they will never say this is the demand and this is the supply. Where are the shortages? These are my points.
No, Mr. Verma, only one thing I will say, rest points are all right, that you said that the coal price should not be there. But you see, when the import is freely available, the consumer will go for the cheaper and better quality of coal. Therefore, the more and more people would find it cheaper to import coal than to buy costly inferior Indian coal. That is the point what Mr. Dagat was making. Thank you very much. I'll not go into a debate at this particular point in time. I've just made my comment on your comments. So anybody who is interested in asking a question, please. It seems there is nobody else. Thank you very much. So now I may request Mr. Shahi to please come in for his final summing up comments. Mr. Shahi, please.
I think I have done a great job in analyzing the document, but the document itself is very sketchy. In fact, it's a one-page document and a vital subject. Really, we will have to do some work in the India Energy Forum to give a feedback to the ministry. See, basically, this is a very unusual situation. You have a shortage, and then the supplier does an auction, and buyer has to quote price. Normally, it is the buyer who says, quote your price and I will buy the lowest. The procurement theory all along is that the buyer puts a tender, and that's what we are doing in power. Whoever gives the best price, say in solar the price has come down to 2 rupees 40 paise, 2 rupees 20 paise. It's a pathetic story. After so many decades of working, we are creating a situation in which we have shortages. To create this shortage or lead to a situation of shortage, and then put your thing in the market that whoever gives the best price. In a vital primary energy like coal, which is so common to everything that happens in industry, and to say that whoever gives the price. So I think the fundamental issue to be raised is that it can be for a peripheral thing, but it cannot be a normal route of doing the work. In power sector, whatever is did in power exchange, at least we said, supplier will quote a price and the buyer will quote a price, and there is some technology, some IT that goes into the process to determine to declare and discover the price. The coal sector really has to think a lot. Coal ministry has to think a lot that if I put these 3 sentences, that you have led the economy to a shortage situation, and then you are asking the supplier to ask buyer to quote a price, naturally that will create a big problem of escalating price, and therefore the whole economy will be in problem. It's not okay. And exactly this happened in a certain year when the rainy season was a little tough. E-auction was done, And the e-auction, I have seen the table, e-auction prices went 350% higher than the normal price. 350. This is number one. Number two, we are saying that this allocation will be done for 15 years. There is a view that it could be revisited. There is a view that if the banking sector has put something for a longer period of investment, why should it be pegged at 15%? There is another thing, that the reserve price will not be lower than the administered price. Fine. But do you know, I have seen in power sector, the reserve price itself is 30-40% higher than the administered price. If you are, why are you putting a higher price than the reserve than the administered price? You give the freedom. If the price is more, so I think this paper has to be prepared with great degree of caution. We have listened to the views of different speakers. Finally, does it do good to the economy or it doesn't do good to the economy? Coal washery is being given to the consumers. For 1 decade, even after our talking and all that, it has been going on for decades, they were making target that Coal India will be given the target for producing washed coal. And now I'm saying people will have to, the consumers will have to. See, it's all right for power sector, which will be a large consumer of coal. But non-regulated sector, the amount of coal requirement for an individual company may not be at that volume, and may not justify those companies to be pressurized or to be persuaded or to provide this in the guidelines that you should do the washery, and then right, for everybody it will not be. Maybe power sector it may be. And as you know, all of us in the India Energy Forum have been strongly in favor of revisiting this policy and having the coal washery in a big way. So I think still that responsibility should lie with the supplier, with the producer of coal. So I think this is a sketchy policy. One, that's very sketchy. Second is that it is very substantial in terms of its power. Thirdly, it evades certain logic of demand and supply in a shortage situation. That I am having a shortage situation, and then asking the supplier to ask buyers to put the price. That will create a havoc. For a small quantity, that type of thing may happen, but not as a regular policy. In power sector, we said, okay, for a small quantity that can, even today after 15-20 years of power exchange, not more than 5% of power is traded through the exchange. And there again, you have both. The pricing option is not by only determined by what somebody has to quote. It is by, they give a price and the buyer also gives a price. And that is how the whole thing is determined. So I think we will sit in a smaller team. We have the whole speeches, and rightly suggested by Mr. Gautam that speakers will kindly give brief notes. We will try to go through the notes, because this is something that paper will go to the ministry. And obviously it requires some fundamental discussion. Apart from giving the note, we will have to question some of the things very clearly, and finally what government will decide, will decide. But I think coal sector, we have been doing too much of this patchwork, and then it is creating a huge lot of problems and constraining people to raise the price of anything that is produced. Is going on increasing. Analysis of e-auction data can be revealing. I think we can put some people on the job, how e-auction, Shakti auction, other auction, how it has led to higher prices of coal. Of course, on quality of coal, we should definitely re-emphasize on the washery. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, sir. So, and we thank you. Now I request Mr. Grover to give the formal vote of thanks. Mr. Grover, please.
Thank you very much. I add one point, then I come to my real job of thanking. Internationally, it's a coal producer who assures the quality coal, does the washing, etc. And in particular situation as it is today, for steel sector and for other sectors, much better that the producer of coal should be washing and then supplying. And coming back to my main task of thanking, I am extremely thankful the way Mr. Gautam started the topic of the day and made everyone activate the thought process and introduced Mr. U. Kumar as the Vice President of Indian Energy Forum and welcoming him. Mr. Shai, as usual, he sets the pace of the any deliberations in a proper manner, and I'm thankful to him also. And the speakers who put up their thoughts very appropriately, and their all views need to be appropriately brought out, and we are thankful that they are giving this brief so that we can put up our views from Indian Energy Forum at appropriate level. And I would thank all of you for joining this webinar as such a short notice and justifying our requirements for which the webinar was being organized. Thanks to all of you.
Thank you very much, sir. We are quite happy that we have made it well in time. It's only about 15 minutes over we have gone. So thank you so much for taking trouble of joining, and we shall meet again. And of course, thanks to the speakers, and we will certainly look forward to receiving their brief notes. Thank you very much, sir. Thanks.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much, sir. Thank you.
Thank you. का क्या हालत है? थैंक यू
मतलब
आपको तो थैंक यू कहती है,
हाँ
क्या हालत है उसका?
5:15 है सर.
Gautam sir, take your permission.